The fact that someone not only came up with the idea of Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, but actually went ahead with producing it because they thought it was a good idea, is one of the great mysteries of the modern world. Hey guys, welcome back to the show, and on this episode, I'm going to be talking about a Christmas movie from 1964. It's Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Not only is this movie terrible in every way, but it makes absolutely no sense, and I have been waiting all year for December to roll around so that I could cover this movie. So I bet you can tell how excited I am. See, this is my excited face. This movie is considered by many to be one of the worst movies ever made, and I have to concur. I mean, does the idea of Santa Claus conquering Martians sound like a terrible idea? No, you could do something totally badass with that. It's the execution that's lacking here. Because it's a kids movie from the 60s, you can throw the idea of an action-packed movie with Santa Claus and aliens right out the window. I know you're a little disappointed right now, but just stick with me, okay? Because I'm gonna try and get you your fix. That's right, it's gonna get a little violent in this episode, I'm telling you right now. So the movie starts with these kids watching TV. Why are these kids dressed so strangely, you might ask? Well, that's because they're Martians. Yes, they live on Mars and spend their time watching television. Because apparently there's nothing else to do on Mars. So it looks like they're watching a television show on Santa Claus and his workshop. How do they get television channels from Earth? I don't know. They're aliens. So, you know, they have superior technology. Not superior to the point where they can create their own programming, but just enough so that they can steal it from other planets. So this reporter is having Santa show him around the workshop, and the reporter notices this doll. And Santa says, oh, one of the elves made that. It's their idea of a Martian. And this just happens to be 100% accurate. So maybe the movie is trying to tell us something. I mean, how else would an elf know what a Martian looks like? Maybe one of these elves is a Martian in disguise. Maybe there's layers to this. No, there's not. It's just really stupid. And I just want to point this out now because already the technical problems are popping up. So let's roll this back a few frames to the beginning. And this shot starts with 2 flashed frames and the action has already started. I guarantee if you could see the frame before this one, it would be completely flashed, just pure white, which tells me that this was the beginning of the roll. Not the roll as in like the actual mag, I mean the roll as in roll camera, the beginning of the take, which means that action was called before the camera started rolling. So this is a good opportunity for me to tell all of you young aspiring filmmakers out there, don't do that. There's a reason why you roll camera, then roll sound, then get the slate, then make sure you got the frame, and then call action. The only reason I could see for rolling the camera as soon as action is called is if you don't have a lot of film left and you're trying to conserve every frame, but even then, you still got to roll a little extra film at the end to get a tail slate. Now, again, I obviously wasn't on the set. I don't know if that's exactly what happened, but these flash frames are frequent throughout the movie. But nevertheless, a good rule of thumb is if you're the camera operator, always give it some slack. Even after the director calls cut, just give it a second before you stop rolling. Your editor will appreciate that. Anyways, back on Mars, Kimar is looking for Dropo, who is sleeping on the floor. So he wakes him up with a Tickle Ray.
Stand up! Turn up that Tickle Ray! Stand up!
Okay, I'm just wondering, why would you need that? A tool for tickling people? I mean, how much tickling are you doing that you've come to the point where you're like, oh, you know what? I just need a piece of technology to do this for me. I'm exhausted over here. My fingers are just killing me. And this is just hilarious. You can see the green face paint running. So he's like, where are my kids? And Dropo was like, they're in there watching Earth TV shows. And I have to say, this is some super advanced technology right here. Doors that open when you point at them instead of using knobs, which is honestly so old-fashioned, because obviously opening a door doing this, much more efficient than opening a door doing this. So he's like, all right, kids, I told you not to watch those Earth programs. Now go to bed. And here's the thing. Why even have the TV then? You know, if they're not gonna, what, are you watching it? Are there programs on there that you find acceptable, that you want to watch? What, like Earth girls are easy? So apparently the kids have had a lot of trouble sleeping lately. Gee, I wonder if it has anything to do with these beds and pillows that leave much to be desired. So to get them to sleep, they use a sleep ray. And I love how back then this was kind of the thinking, you know. In the future, there'll just be rays for everything, you know. Sleep rays, tickle rays, kill rays, sodomy ray. Wait, What? But the sleep ray, and I'm sure many of you would agree, feels like a truly advanced piece of technology. Like, can I please get one of those? I am a total insomniac. So Momar comes home with some new food pills that she hopes the kids will eat.
Hamburger, buttered asparagus, mashed potatoes, and a special treat for them, chocolate layer cake pills.
Well, that's interesting. The fact that on Mars they have food pills in the flavor of American cuisine. I mean, what the hell's wrong with you Martians? You don't want to try anything from any other places? I don't see any sushi pills on there. How about some jerk chicken pills? I mean, how would they know what this stuff even tastes like? Much less what it is. Anyways, it turns out all of the kids on Mars are having this problem. So because Kimar is the king of the Martians or whatever, he has to fix it. So he sets up a group chat with his council chiefs to go out to see Chochum, this old guy who's like super smart or something.
Attention, council chiefs. Please report.
I just want to say, that is a dangerous place to have that button. That is a butt dial disaster just waiting to happen. Imagine you had a huge button on your belt that as soon as it got pressed, just broadcasted everything you were saying to everybody you knew. I'm willing to bet that you watching this probably know some people who would love that. And they're probably the most annoying people that you know. So they all meet up, and one of the chiefs, Voldar, is super cynical. He's clearly evil, just look at that mustache. And he says he doesn't want to hear from some 800-year-old man. They don't need his advice. I mean, just look at us. Do we look like we don't know what we're doing? Anyways, Kimar shows up, and suddenly, in a puff of smoke, Chochum appears. And I guess I just don't understand. I mean, yeah, he looks like a low-rent Gandalf, but other than that, why isn't he dressed like the other Martians? Why doesn't he have to wear a helmet consisting of an upside-down pair of ski goggles, some wires, and some tubes and shit? So Kimar is like, hey, the kids are messed up, tell us why. And Chochum is like, well, it's the middle of September, which means on Earth, it's December, which means it's time for Christmas and the arrival of Santa Claus. Of course, the Martians have no idea what Christmas is because why would they? And quite honestly, I don't see why Chochum would know what Christmas is or Santa Claus. Has he been watching the TV too? So they're like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? How does this affect our children? And he's like, all right, listen, boners. The children here on Mars aren't even allowed to have a childhood. As soon as they're born, we attach machines to their heads, which teach them everything. They never get to play. They don't even know how to have fun. They have to learn how to play. That's why we need Santa Claus on Mars. So they're like, okay, cool. Well, let's go kidnap Santa and bring him here to fix our kids. And Voldar is like, no, I don't like this at all. I don't want any fun on Mars. And I have to say, why is this guy even on your crew? He's a total jerk. Just fire him. In fact, just murder him, kill him, get rid of him. Like, well, what's the worst that could happen? You're the king of Mars. You can do anything you want. You can disappear this guy. No one would even bat an eye. But obviously, this is a kid's movie, so that's not gonna happen. For now. So they take off in their spaceship, and what a marvel of technology this is. I mean, just look at all those knobs and dials. And this part is kind of funny because they fire off the side rockets, and they move to try and sell the idea that the ship is being jolted by this. But, you know, you might want to add some camera shake because otherwise, it just looks like they're readjusting themselves.
Number 1 and number 2, fired.
So they start looking through the ship's camera and they're like, holy crap, they call that a city? What a dump. Then they keep seeing various Santa Clauses on the street and they're like, well, what the hell? How do we know which one to kidnap? Suddenly, they sense the Earth radar has detected them. And the military is like, holy crap, a UFO. Let's start launching shit at it right away. Which is weird. It seems like this whole process would take longer than 10 seconds, but I guess not. So the Martians activate their radar shield, but it's not working for some reason. Quick, check the radar box, which is literally just a big box of nothing. So I don't understand why this is even necessary. And it looks like Dropo is inside of the box, and that's what's causing the radar shield to malfunction, which Again, I don't understand how that works, but whatever. So now the Defense Department has come to the conclusion that the UFO is definitely an alien spacecraft. I mean, what else would it be? A radar malfunction? Well, that's not very exciting now, is it? We got all these fighters, we might as well use them. So they send the Air Force into action, even though they can't find the UFO on the radar anymore. And wow, look at all of this. I'm sure that we're being shown all this footage because eventually it's going to go somewhere, right? Like the Air Force is going to eventually find the spaceship. I mean, look at all this cool footage. It would be pretty stupid if all of this went absolutely nowhere, right? It would. But what's funny is just how fast this all happened. I mean, the Martians enter Earth's orbit, and within not even 2 minutes, the Defense Department has spotted them on radar, contacted the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union denies sending out any new satellites, and this gets sent out to news stations who report it. And then they start preparing to launch rockets, and the president orders the Strategic Air Command into action. Just seems like an insanely fast sequence of events. Meanwhile, these two kids, Billy and Betty, are sitting around listening to the radio talk about, yeah, it was probably just a meteor that burned up in the atmosphere, but it could have been a UFO. So the Martians, of course, show up right there. Betty starts freaking out, and Billy is like, shut up, Betty. I came to this park to sleep against this tree, not to listen to your blood-curdling screams.
We're from Mars. Don't be afraid.
Yes, don't be afraid, children. We're just three strange men claiming to be from Mars, covered in green paint, pointing guns in your face. Also, I like how the one gun looks pretty intense, but the other one, probably the least threatening thing you could imagine. It's honestly starting to feel like the art department spent 1 hour at a hardware store and got everything they needed for this movie. Okay, where are we now? The plumbing aisle? All right, what about that thing? I'm sure we can use that to create some kind of a space pistol and some of those tubes. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to use them for, but we'll figure it out. Seriously, I bet I could recreate most of this movie with an afternoon at Canadian Tire. So the Martians ask the kids, hey, what's the deal here? Where's the real Santa Claus? And the kids tell them that the real Santa Claus is in his workshop up in the North Pole. So they're like, okay, thanks. And then Voldar is like, yeah, you're coming with us.
Leave them alone, Voldar.
What? And leave them here to inform the authorities?
He's right, Kemal. We better take them along with us to the North Pole.
Yeah, you can't just leave these kids here. They're gonna tell the police they saw some aliens in the woods. And then the police are gonna be all over that. It's much better to just kidnap the kids because I'm pretty sure the cops aren't going to be taking any reports of missing children very seriously. Okay, so what's going on now? One of the planes is being refueled. Wow, I'm glad they're keeping us up to date on this situation. So Dropo sneaks the kids into the spaceship control room, which I don't understand. I mean, how big is this ship? Where are the other Martians, and why would they just let the kids wander around with this stunad? I also like how they have 3 clocks: Earth time, Mars time, and Jupiter time. And for some reason, Mars time is in intervals of months, and there's only 4 of them, and they have the same names as the months on Earth. Whatever happened to September? Suddenly, this light tells them that someone is coming up from the navigation deck. So they gotta hide, quick, get into the conveniently large and empty radar box.
I can see Santa Claus' workshop.
Wait, if you're able to monitor the navigation from here, then what goes on the navigation deck? So even though these aliens were smart enough to come up with such advanced technology, they weren't smart enough to think ahead of what they were going to do with the kids once they kidnapped them. But don't worry, Voldar has a pretty good idea.
If we take them with us to Mars, Santa's disappearance will remain a mystery.
Yeah, we can't just let them go here on Earth. Then they're gonna run around and tell everybody that the Martians kidnapped Santa Claus. And then everyone will know and, well, I guess they can't really do anything. I mean, honestly, what are they gonna do? They can't even get to our planet. But they will think very poorly of us for stealing their obese, elderly, gift-giving man. And then we'll look like a bunch of jerks.
We've landed.
Are you sure? Because that really looks like space outside of that window. So the Martians get out of the ship, and this is when Billy sabotages the radar blocker by pulling some wires. Wow, that was easy. But I guess that's what happens when you leave the internals to such an important piece of technology so easily accessible. So the kids get off of the spaceship somehow before the Martians do. And wow, look at the landing gear here. Look how narrow this is. Surprised the ship doesn't just topple over from a gust of wind. And Billy and Betty run off, but it's just too bad that they don't have a plan of where to go, and it's also super cold in the North Pole. Betty sees Voldar and she's like, oh crap, if he finds us out here, he'll snuff us out for sure. So they hide in this little cave. And what the hell is this? I guess this is supposed to be a polar bear who swipes at them a few times, but then just gives up. It's a good thing the bear couldn't just break through the snow. And just when you thought the kids were safe, they're now being hunted down by Torg, a robot with very large areolas. Well, it looks like certain doom for these children, and Voldar orders Torg to crush them to death. But Torg only obeys Kimar, and the kids are taken back to the ship, and they continue to hunt down Santa Claus with this robot that totally isn't a guy in a box. So they get to Santa's workshop, and hang on a second. I gotta say, I feel bad for these elves. This does not seem like a comfortable working environment. Really, the elves should think about starting up a union, because this is ridiculous. I mean, at any point, has anybody stood up and been like, hey guys, thanks for coming out. I wanted to get everyone together today because I think this is an issue that should be discussed. I'm talking about the uniform, not so much the top. This is fine. I'm referring more to the tights. I mean, I think we all know it's the elephant in the room. No pun intended. But like, we work at the North Pole. Why are we wearing tights? It's extremely cold, and I feel very exposed. This coat doesn't go down that far. So, if I'm working in the workshop with the rest of you, and I turn around and bend over to pick up some toys, and one of you just happens to look in my direction at that moment, you're getting a fruit bowl, okay? 100%. Anyways, Torg just breaks into the workshop and starts messing things up as Santa just kind of stands there like, what the hell is this? And now Torg just stands there. Wow. Once again, what an incredible piece of technology. You've basically built a robot that can push over a table. Congratulations. Honestly, maybe you should take an idea from the kids and start watching some of that Earth programming on TV, because then maybe you'll see a heist movie and you can learn a few things. This kidnapping should have been done in 30 seconds or less. Just run up in there and show them you mean business. Hell, I'll do it for you. I'll even dress up like a robot. All right, let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. We're just here for the fat man. Nobody needs to get hurt. You with the bat, drop the bat. Dude, you don't drop that bat, I'm gonna drop you. I'll do it. So the Martians come in, and apparently this gun doesn't kill you, it just freezes you in place for a while. And I have to say, it's pretty funny. Not just the sound that the gun makes, but the reloading action as well.
Quiet, you.
But
So Mrs. Claus comes in, and they pop her too. And it's kind of funny because Santa Claus almost seems kind of happy about it.
You know, my dear, I can't recall a time when you were so silent.
I can just imagine what goes on in that workshop behind the scenes. How many fights they have about getting the toys done on time, and he's just like, well, I don't see you picking up a hammer. Anyways, now the kidnapping is international news, and the United Nations stays up all night trying to figure out what to do. And honestly, what are you going to do? Well, this guy is in charge of the program to go after the Martians.
Now our Starshot ship is supposed to undergo 6 months of test flights. But we are going to forget about the testing and go after those Martian monkeys.
Ah, yes, that sounds like a great idea. We don't have time to do tests. We just gotta send a rocket up there and hope for the best. I mean, this is Santa Claus we're talking about. Which brings up another point. Isn't Santa Claus magic? I mean, if he can make it around the world squeezing his ass up and down 2 billion chimneys in one night, I'm sure he can figure this out. So they send up the rocket, and talk about a suicide mission. They don't even know what they're doing. Keep in mind, this movie was made before they even landed on the moon. Anyways, the Martians notice that there's a rocket ship following them, and Kimar is like, how is that even possible? We have the radar blocker. I got the biggest one they made. Look at that box. And Voldar is like, look, that stupid kid Billy messed around with the wires. This thing is broken. I'm gonna go kill him. So Voldar is like, hey, let me take you on a tour of the ship. And he takes them into the airlock and seals them in. They only have 1 minute to get out of there, but Billy seems like the only one concerned about this. So he tries the doorknob, but it's locked. So he tries it again, still locked. So he starts banging on the door, but that doesn't work either. So he tries banging on the door again. Finally, he tells Santa to use his magic to shoot them up this tube, but Santa isn't so sure.
Where did you say this leads to, Billy?
Does that really matter, Santa? Like, who cares? It's better than getting sucked out into space and dying. So Voldar tells Kimar that he killed them. And now we have easily the most hilariously bad fight scene I have ever seen in my life. Honestly, this fight scene gives the fight in Hobgoblins a run for its money. This looks like it was choreographed by someone who's not only never been in a fight before, but never even seen a fight before. Kimar starts to kind of bash Voldar's head when Santa comes in.
You're all right. I thought you would...
Well, when Voldar accidentally left us in the airlock, and then came up here and accidentally threw the door switch, we knew we had to get out of there in a hurry.
Yeah, see, this is why I could never be Santa Claus. I do not take kindly to someone trying to kill me. I would come into that room blasting.
Wish you were floating around out there in space. Santa Claus, you're all right. I thought you would...
Oh, no. You see, Voldar accidentally sealed me in the airlock. But that's all right, because I accidentally came packing heat.
Anyways, they lock Voldar in a cell, but somehow he escapes and ties up Dropo. I really don't understand why it's so hard to keep track of the people on this ship. So they land on Mars, and Momar is like, oh, Santa, I hope you can make the children very happy. They're so depressed. We had to hook them up to the Inception machine. So Santa Claus comes in to see the children, and this is probably the most disturbing part of the movie because they really have no reaction to him at first. But then they all just burst out into psychotic laughter. And this goes on for a really long time. They're not laughing at anything in particular, they're just laughing. So the kids are able to sleep without the sleep ray, and Kimar tells Santa that they're building a toy workshop for him, and oh, by the way, you're staying on Mars forever. You're never leaving. And this is complete bullshit. You kidnap this guy, he helps your kids, and now you're just gonna keep him as your prisoner? Again, if I was Santa Claus, I would be shooting my way out of there. I don't have a skit for that. You're just gonna have to imagine it. But here's the thing. I don't understand why they even need Santa Claus. He's not making the toys by hand. He's just pushing buttons. The rest is automated. You don't even need the guy. Just get one of your Martians. Get one of the happy ones and dress him up. You know, get Dropo. That guy's only got half a brain. Here's something he can do.
Just a moment, children. Are you feeling well?
Are they feeling well? Gee, I wonder what the problem could be. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that they were snatched away from their families, taken to an alien planet, almost murdered several times in the process, and are now basically slaves in an alien toy manufacturing sweatshop. I don't know, if it was me, I think I'd be kind of upset too. Dropo is now dressing up like Santa Claus. Meanwhile, Voldar, this jackass, is trying to sabotage the workshop. So they see Dropo and somehow mistake him for the real Santa Claus. Honestly, how stupid are these aliens? You've managed to develop space travel and radar blocking technology, but you don't notice that this Santa Claus has a helmet with a giant tube sticking out of it just like the rest of you? I mean, what's the point of having the kids hooked up to learning computers all the time if they're just gonna grow up to be this stupid anyways? So they put him in a cave and now the machine is screwing up all the toys.
Dropo's gone. Your suit is missing.
Wait, what? So that suit that Dropo is in is a second Santa suit that he brought? Well, where the hell did that come from? You know, when they busted into the workshop to kidnap Santa, I don't remember them waiting around for him to pack a bag. So Voldar is like, haha, I have Santa Claus. And Kimar is like, no you don't, look. And Voldar is shocked that the person in the Santa suit with the helmet and the green face that he locked up in a cave isn't the real Santa. So Kimar puts them in the storeroom, and man, it's amazing that this alien planet doesn't have more things that look alien. I mean, this gas tank, this light fixture, hell, pretty much everything in this room looks like it's from Earth. In fact, I'm pretty sure my parents have this exact same shovel in their garage. Anyways, Dropo, who's supposed to be the dumb one, but now I'm thinking he might be the opposite, starts, I don't know, fooling around with this machine in the cave and switches these light bulbs. I don't know how the guard didn't see him do this or why he doesn't chase after him when he runs away. And once again, check out another crazy fight scene. So Billy hears Voldar talking about how he's going to walk across the hall and get rid of Santa once and for all. So he goes to warn him. Anyway, Santa is like, okay, let's come up with a plan. So eventually Voldar rushes in, and I really don't understand what took him so long. I mean, he literally just had to open the door and take 4 steps to get over there. And yet they had the time to come up with a plan and get ready for him. And the brilliant plan was to wait until he came into the room and then just throw shit at him. I really don't understand why he's so overwhelmed by this. I mean, oh no, not toy soldiers on the floor. That makes me totally unable to shoot my gun. And this just goes on for a really long time, showing that Voldar is actually just a huge bitch. Anyways, they arrest Voldar and say goodbye to Santa and the kids, and I have no idea where they're going. I mean, who's gonna take them back to Earth? Which reminds me, I guess nothing happened with that rocket that they sent into space that was apparently on the tail of the spaceship going to Mars. Guess they all died. But whatever, it's over. And at 1 hour and 9 minutes, I am incredibly thankful that they didn't try and stretch this out any longer. And for those of you entering the 10th anniversary giveaway, the 3rd and final code is robot. So be sure to send in all 3 codes in an email to 10yeargiveaway@gmail.com, and I will be picking the winners and contacting them on December 22nd. Now, this movie is pretty infamous because of how bad it is, and some people actually enjoy watching it because of that, but me personally, I never want to watch this thing ever again. Apparently, they were going to do a remake of this movie with Jim Carrey as Dropo, but that was like 20 years ago, so it's probably not going to happen, but if I've learned anything doing this show, it's never say never. But that's pretty much it for this one. Thanks for watching, guys, and thank you for a great year. This has been probably the most successful year I've ever had on this show. So thanks for watching and liking and subscribing and sharing the videos and commenting and all that stuff. And I'll be back with more episodes in the new year. So look, I'm not trying to say the wrong thing here, but Santa was the one who came up with this outfit. And in case you haven't noticed, these are next year's tights. And it just seems like every year they keep getting more and more flesh colored. So yeah, okay, I'm just gonna say it. I'm a little concerned. Again, we're up here at the North Pole. There's no one else around in case we needed help. So I'm just saying, maybe it's time we start to think about forming a union. I mean, think about it. We bust our asses 24/7, 365. This guy works what, 1 day a year? And he's clearly doing well. He's obviously not starving. I don't think it's too much to ask for a pair of Levi's. And it doesn't even have to be name brand. Look, I got these. I got these from Costco. All right, they're nice and stretchy. And look, they match the uniform pretty much perfectly. All right, so I'm not picky, I'm just cold. Really cold, as I'm sure the rest of you are. And I'm also pretty sure it's the reason I can't have children. So I think some compensation's in order. Have you brought this up to Santa? No, I haven't brought this up to Santa. Have you been listening to a word I've been saying? Jesus, Tim.